Hi, my name is Zack Jackson. I am a UCC pastor in Reading, Pennsylvania, and one of the Sinai and Synapses fellows. And this is going to be a short video, so I will spare you my entire life story and just start by saying that I never expected to be here as a pastor. It's not that I don't respect clergy, it's just that I never thought I'd be a very good one. See, growing up, I always saw pastors and religious leaders as people who had all the answers, and the rest of us as people who had all the questions. And people with the questions would go to the people with the answers, then they'd get the answers that they needed. But I never found any answers. I just had questions and doubts upon doubts upon doubts upon doubts. I have the mind of a skeptic, the heart of a scientist. I have a hard time taking easy answers, and questions were not always encouraged in the religious upbringing that I was brought up in. I remember one time that my pastor said from the pulpit that the only reason that a person would have to believe in evolution would be if they didn't believe that God was able to create the world and the universe in 6 days. So that was what I had. You either have doubts or you have faith. It's all or it's nothing, and that's it. So when I felt called by God to go into ministry, I approached it the way you might expect a scientist to. I went to college and I majored in ancient languages so that I could get at the source code of my faith. And you know what I found? Deep in the Greek and the Hebrew and all of the cultural contexts and the programming language of the Bible, as it were. Do you know what I found deep down inside? Questions. So many questions. And the people who were teaching me, who were supposed to have the answers that I was then supposed to give to my people, well, they had even more questions. They had better informed questions, but more questions nonetheless. It was like every answer we got just sprouted two more questions. It was like the mythical Hydra, and every time you chopped off a head, two more would pop out. And so I fought this call to pastoral ministry because people come to their pastors for answers, for comfort, not for more complicated questions or an affirmation of their doubts. Religious leaders aren't supposed to have doubts, right? Well, can I tell you a little secret? You promise not to tell anyone? This is just between you and I. I've been doing this whole pastor thing for the past 5 years, and I've come in contact with a lot of clergy people, and they all have doubts too. They all have questions. They all have problems with their faith, and some of them have really big doubts, but most of them don't feel comfortable sharing them or exploring them openly for fear that they might appear weak in their faith. But friends, doubt is not the opposite of faith. It is the engine of faith. And if we in the religious community could learn how to doubt effectively, like those in the scientific community, then I think we'd be so much better off. I remember reading a blog post a couple years back from Stephen Wolfram, and this was right after scientists at CERN discovered what they were pretty sure was the Higgs boson particle. And you might expect him to be excited and enthusiastic about this discovery, but really he was disappointed. See, the Higgs behaved exactly as the Standard Model predicted, which meant that there were no loose ends to tie, there were no leads to follow, there were no interesting questions to ask. It was an answer, a long sought-after answer, but it was also a dead end. And at its best, science is a methodology that cherishes uncertainty, that celebrates good questions, that rejoices in doubt. Scientists hold on to their knowledge loosely, knowing that new data or a better hypothesis could upend the whole thing. And I wonder if we in the religious community could hold our beliefs in the same way. What if, instead of treating them like dead ends to absolute truth, we held them loosely and saw our beliefs as interesting questions that could lead us closer to an infinite God? Psalm 119 says, "Your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my pathway." And what if we could just let it be that? A light to illuminate the next couple of steps, to lead us deeper into the mystery without ever having to expose the whole thing. That's the sort of faith that I can get behind. The kind of faith that could get me excited about getting up in the morning and following my calling. And the kind of faith that I hope to be able to emulate to fellow seekers in my role as a pastor. And the kind of faith that my good friend Casey is living out in her call as a chaplain, as a hospital chaplain to those who are sick and suffering and who have the most pressing questions. And you can watch her video in the description down there. There'll be a link. So let's keep seeking, friends. Let's keep asking good questions, and let's hold on to our beliefs loosely as we dig deeper into this infinite mystery that we call God.